Food safety experts say it's like lightning striking twice. The very same strain of E. coli found in contaminated romaine lettuce last year is once again in romaine lettuce this year, and it's causing sickness. 32 people in 11 states and 18 people in Canada, in Ontario and Quebec, falling sick in the ongoing E. coli outbreak that is linked to romaine lettuce. We're getting word now that another person has fallen ill in Canada, and this has moved now into a third province, New Brunswick. So health officials concerned about that as they scramble to pinpoint the source of the infection.
All away. That is the message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. If you have any romaine lettuce in your home or business, the CDC is linking that lettuce to a multi-state E. coli outbreak.
This past October, 39 individuals have fallen ill with E. coli. This affected people between the ages of 1 and 84 in 12 different states. Since October, there have been 4 more reported cases, and there are expected to be more since symptoms take several weeks to appear. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, E. coli are bacteria that can be found in human and animal intestines. While most strains are harmless, certain strains can lead to illnesses like urinary tract infections and pneumonia. In today's society, food safety is at the utmost importance for both consumers and producers. Life revolves around food, and it becomes a critical issue when numerous people are affected by a certain food product. Therefore, E. coli is a problem that has an effect on public health, policy, and planning.
Recently, an outbreak of E. coli was linked to romaine lettuce. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the CDC have been conducting a traceback investigation. This entails reviewing shipping records and invoices in order to trace the source of the contaminated lettuce. The results reveal that the origin of the E. coli infected lettuce was traced to areas in northern and central California. Out of the 43 people who have fallen ill, there have been 16 hospitalizations, and the outbreak is recorded in 12 states. Currently, the FDA and the CDC do not have enough traceback information to identify the exact source of the contamination necessary to issue a targeted recall. However, the FDA recommends that the industry voluntarily withdraw any of their products from the market to ensure an efficient way of preventing a distribution of this disease. On November 20th, the United Fresh Produce Association and the Leafy Greens Marketing Agreement issued statements committing to withdraw the romaine lettuce from the market.
According to the American public health population, public health promotes and protects the health of people and the communities where they live, learn, work, and play. When it comes to food safety, the CDC and the FDA are the 2 most prominent organizations that control policies relating to public health. The role of public health in this issue is education and prevention. In order to prevent people from consuming contaminated lettuce, the public must be educated. By educating the public on the harmful effects of E. coli, which includes vomiting, stomach cramps, and diarrhea, they deter the public from eating the lettuce, which prevents them from contracting the disease. In addition to public statements and broadcasts, the FDA and CDC will also prevent the spread of infection by recalling the contaminated product. Food recalls occur when a specific food poses an immediate threat to public safety and health. This allows the product to be completely removed from the market and unavailable to purchase, completely preventing the spread of illness.
The E. coli outbreak relates to public planning in terms of urban agriculture. This sect of public planning has to do with how farming practices can be altered and modernized in order to make food production cheaper and maximize production while abiding by the FDA's safe food guidelines. It is imperative that people involved in this aspect of public planning use this recent E. coli outbreak to re-examine fresh food farming practices. With the rise of genetically modified crops and modern food technologies, scientists need to work with people in urban agriculture to develop technologies that will detect E. coli in advance of the crops making their way to stores and preventing widespread E. coli outbreaks in the future.
The main policy aspect that relates to this topic is food policy. Food policy deals with how food is produced, processed, distributed, and purchased. The role of public policy in the recent E. coli outbreak is related to the role that policy plays in food safety in general. The root of this problem is traced to the producers in northern and central California. By considering food policy when looking at mass food producers, new farming mechanisms, health regulations should be put in place in order to lower risk of harmful bacteria and other foodborne illnesses. National food policy and policy in general tends to fluctuate due to politics in Washington. It is critical that leaders identify this issue as urgent and take immediate action in order to prevent future national food-related illnesses outbreaks.
One key force in this E. coli outbreak is science. Science plays a major role in understanding and preventing the current outbreak. In order to trace a contamination back to its source, researchers and analysts must do genetic analysis of the strains from current patients and compare them with previous outbreaks to see if it is the same source. If no genetic link is found between the two strains, the researchers can continue to test different varieties of lettuce to determine if one is contaminated. In this case, it was the romaine lettuce. Analysts work to determine what areas and what brands are cultivating the contaminated lettuce and identify the regions that are most vulnerable to contracting illness.
The most important force in regards to this issue is non-elected stakeholders. There is only so much research that can be done without grants and funding from these major organizations. These organizations also have the ability to influence policy due to their close proximity to policymakers. Therefore, it is imperative that non-governmental organizations and other non-elected stakeholders realize the sheer size of that this E. coli outbreak poses, not just the 43 affected individuals, but how food policy needs to be scrutinized in order to prevent future outbreaks of foodborne bacterial illnesses. Thank you.